Happy Monday. This is Oluchi, and this is our Trifecta, and I have a special guest today, Mary.
Hi.
So we're going to get into our topic of the day with Mary, but we're going to do our current events first, and we'll have a better introduction, as the time goes past. So, Mary, how was your week?
My week was awesome.
Really
Busy. I can't even remember everything I did. It was a lot of stuff, a lot of roller derby practice, a lot of yoga classes, a lot of, we had a bout last night and helped with setup and tear down for that. And it's exhausting and awesome. So yeah, awesome week.
Well, I have to say that I did go to the bout at the roller derby, and I had a really good time.
Awesome. I'm so glad you did.
I'm going to come back. Mm-hmm. So we'll get into our current event, or my week, because it kind of starts out with the current events. So for those of you who don't know, I do have a joint disorder in my face. It's commonly referred to as TMJ, which is temporal mandibular joint disorder. But I have like a rare case. So a friend kind of hooked me up with Johns Hopkins, and so I did some research or whatever, and now I have to go back for them to put all these sensors on my face and my head and just monitor me for a while. So upon doing that, there's a whole bunch of paperwork you got to sign, in case they kill you or whatever. And so a paper came up about genetic testing, and could they use my blood and do further genetic testing on whatever they deem is necessary. So once you sign the paper, it's like that's their blood, that's their cells, that's their DNA, and you have like no claim to your DNA.
It's like the Facebook terms of service, but with your DNA, which is a little weird.
I know, and it's kind of scary. So the younger me would have just signed it. Mm-hmm. And been like, okay, whatever, I don't care. You know what I mean? But there's a old, I guess, case. It's not really a case, but a story about Henrietta Lacks. And she, in 1951, had a cancerous tumor in her cervix. And when she went to Johns Hopkins, actually the same hospital, she went to get it removed. They cut half of it out. She ended up still dying. Mm-hmm. And they cut it and saved some of her cells, but they didn't let her know. Mm-hmm. And so her cells are used in biomedical research, and her cells had all these great advances, in medicine because of her. But her family lives in poverty. Mm-hmm. And they had no claim to it. It was very illegal what they did, but mm-hmm. It's kind of what can you do? So, all that kind of pops back in my head as I'm reading this. And I'm like, hell no, you can't have my little cells. You already have enough of me here.
Right.
You know what I mean? So can I just keep my DNA? So that story is to just say, when you're filling out all this medical information, really read carefully what you're signing over, because there's, you're literally signing over your life to someone else. And check your doctors out too, because I always like to say, if you went to college or school or, after high school, they're still the lowest part of the class, the dummies of the class that just made it through. And some of those are still doctors. Some of those are mm-hmm. lawyers. Some of those are surgeons, dentists.
And it doesn't mean that they're ethical. It doesn't, you know what I mean? They have a degree, good job, but that doesn't mean that you can trust them with everything.
Slid past all their exams, barely making it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So who wants that C+ brain surgeon? You know what I'm saying? Who wants that person operating on them?
Right.
So you could be signing your life away to the C+ brain surgeon.
Right.
You know what I mean? So just be aware of that. In other news, if you're in California and voting for governor this year, there's a candidate running for the GOP, and his name is Glenn Champ, and he's a registered sex offender. His list of charges include: he pled guilty to carrying a concealed weapon. He was convicted of 2 counts of assault with attempt to rape, loitered to solicit a prostitute, and he also was sentenced to 12 years for manslaughter for hitting a man with his car. So that poses the question, like, really? Really?
Right. Well, you were saying earlier that they want to put it all out in the open and be like, oh, he's a real guy, whatever. Like, okay, I get it. You're a real person. But those problems that you just listed with him are not like normal. These are not average Joe problems, right? Like when George Bush was sort of outed as an alcoholic or whatever, everybody was like, you know what? That's a real person problem. That happens to real people, and we can accept this about you. Being a sex offender is not. It's not the same.
You were convicted of it too. It's not like somebody set you up and then, you know what I'm saying? They're, oh, you know, I slapped her around and, you know, blah, 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 blah. Like, what?
Yeah, no, it's no, it's not okay. It's just not.
This could be your governor, people.
Do you really think that he has a legitimate chance of winning, or is this kind of a... I sometimes think they put out a candidate that they know is going to lose because they don't have a chance anyway. I don't know. I'm crossing my fingers.
Maybe I've been watching too much House of Cards. But this seems like season 1 when the guy from, you know, Philly, he was like this raging cokehead alcoholic running for governor, and you know what happened to him? He's dead. Right. You know what I'm saying? He's off somewhere. So I'm like, are y'all trying to do the same thing?
I mean,
is
like,
this a favor that you're doing?
There's DC with like the mayoral drama now, and then the previous mayoral drama, and then, you know, there's like Louisiana with Edwin Edwards.
Oh God.
I don't put anything past politicians. Like, they're like, oh yeah, I just got out of jail, so my campaign fund's looking good. How does that even? I guess you haven't had reason to spend any money for the past however many years you've been in prison. So save it up, run for president.
Spending the last campaign funds illegally.
It's ridiculous.
I'm serious. Every time I read a story like this, I'm like, you know what? I got to put my paperwork in. I've got
right.
I have to put my paperwork in. Please vote for me.
I would.
Please. Because, I mean, I have normal people problems. You know what I mean? Like, bills come. Right. You know what I mean? Sally Mae's hawking me.
Jeez,
Aren't those normal? Aren't those normal people problems? Are they still going to hawk me if I get to be governor, though? Do they just forgive you?
Good question.
I don't know. I have to research that and get back with you, because if that's a possibility, I am out of there.
Right.
And if I'm spending any campaign funds illegally, it's going to be to pay off these bills.
To pay Sally Mae.
Right.
And then everybody will be like, no, that's a real people problem. I forgive you.
I'm cool with that. That's why she got elected. She's doing real stuff with her money. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Okay, so yeah. I would, you know, I don't know this guy, but I wouldn't vote for him. So if you do vote, hopefully you do. Yeah. And I know we have some listeners in California. Go ahead and take him off the ticket. And the last story is more local. So there was an Amber Alert for Relisha Rudd. She's 8 years old. And I really, like, this story just hits home because I do have a 5-year-old. But it also poses a bunch of questions. So roughly the story that I received was Relisha lives in DC General's, or the old DC General's homeless shelter with her mother for the last 18 months. Well, she goes to school somewhere in Maryland, I believe, but the teacher hadn't seen her for like 2 or 3 weeks. So the teacher goes to the homeless shelter to check it out. And upon going there, Relisha's mother's like, oh, she's with her godfather, who, we're going to use that term loosely, because he's just a janitor that works at the homeless shelter who has always been kind of creepy and predator-like to me, but, you know, I'm on the outside looking in. So the teacher's like, so wait, you haven't, you know, seen her, like, she just went with her godfather, never came back. So she is the one who calls the police, and that's when the Amber Alert is issued. So now everybody's like falling out, the whole family, like, oh my God, he took the girl. But did he really take her? Because you gave her to him.
I can only think that, you know, you hear stories about people living in homeless shelters who, no matter how badly they're in need, they leave the shelter because it's a terrible place to be. You know, they get beat up, things get stolen. You know, there's a lot of, like, it's a rough place, you know, and maybe in this mother's mind, she was like, this man is looking out for my daughter, and he could maybe take her someplace better. And she might have just, you know, kind of blinded herself to the sort of predator factor there.
I'm hoping.
I don't know.
I'm hoping. That's what, you know, we engaged about earlier, is that, like, you know, at the basic thought process, you know what I mean? Not to analyze it. If I was in a homeless shelter and around things that I wouldn't want a child to see, I'm sure that there are like a lot of people with mental health issues. There are a lot of people who are maybe on drugs.
Yeah.
You know, you don't really want to expose your child to that. And if somebody is coming in, you know, seeming like a good God-fearing Christian or whatever, and they have a wife and they're providing her with toys, clothes, outings, you know what I mean? And you go on a couple outings with them and they're like, no, we'll take her. You know, we're providing something better for her that you can't right now.
Right.
You know, you would think, okay, well,
Right.
maybe I'll let her go, you know, to the zoo with them or whatever. But like when you didn't come back that day or the weekend or, you know, like in a school's Monday, if you didn't come back by Monday, like there's a problem.
Right.
You know what I mean? And now that the mother is kind of on TV, kind of like, oh my God, just bring her back to me. Barely crying, mind you. It's really disturbing to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, side note, so after the Amber Alert was issued, they, I guess, traced his credit card to a hotel where they found his dead wife. So now he's also charged with murder and kidnapping or abduction. I don't know if there's a difference.
I don't know.
Me neither. And,
but that makes the whole thing that much scarier.
Scary.
Like, what happened? Did his wife figure out that he had taken this child and, like, you know, say, no, this is not okay? And then he was like, okay, well, I'll just get rid of you then. Like, what happened there? Oh, it's scary.
Really scary. So it just makes, like, all these little kids are, like, popping up missing.
Yeah. And I feel like there's been more lately.
Yeah.
Is that my imagination?
No,
Do I just notice it more now?
There was a little girl. I don't even know what happened with this case. Like, I wish that they would, like, come back and tell you what the end result is. Because
Right.
another case was in Dundalk, Maryland, where the guy was arguing with his ex-wife. They were in a custody battle, but he ended up killing her and then taking the little girl in a black Durango. If you see that.
That's right, because I remember the announcement going out, and they were sending out text messages, and then I never heard whether
like,
they found
where
the
is
girl.
she?
Like, what's...
Yeah, like, where are these little kids? So, bring the babies back. You know what I mean? Leave the babies, the children alone. Mm-hmm. Stop messing with them. There are too many, like, women out here for sale. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like it also, it always, it's almost always somebody who's poor or disadvantaged in some way who they've been taken advantage of, you know,
Yes.
like, because you're already in a homeless shelter, your options are so limited, and it just makes me feel like we need to be doing a whole lot more to take care of the people who are in the shelters, maybe help them avoid getting in the shelters. Yes. Anyway.
For another show. We'll have to Google some alternatives for that. So we're going to move into our topic of the day, why Mary is here. So today's topic is experiencing new things, like coming out of your comfort zone and just really, you know, enjoying life. Like, life is too young. And now we're at that age where you get all these epiphanies where, like, I've wasted so much of my life.
Right.
I'm sure we'll do this in another 10, 15 years. You know what I mean?
I feel like it happens every now and then, but most of my friends starting around like 25, we were all starting to look around like, oh shit, we're grown-ups for real now, and what are we doing?
Right. And that's exactly, you know, with a lot of people I've been, you know, just having conversations with, are like, you know, I'm having this epiphany that, like, I don't want to work here anymore. I want to do this, but I'm not going to leave my cubicle because I'm scared of, you know.
You got bills to pay,
Right.
and then your parents are going to be asking you, why did you quit your job? And, you know.
Right. So, so I know Mary from undergrad. We had a class together like a million years ago.
Were we in that self-defense class together? Or was it English department? Was it both?
It was probably right. I don't know.
Oh, I can't remember for sure.
I just know we're Facebook friends, and, you know, we lived in Texas, and then we're both here.
Yeah, magic.
The world is so small. So, anywho, you experienced something new, and so let's just dive in and talk about it.
Yeah. So, about how long ago was that? Like back in last June or something, my friend Jen and I were like, man, I kind of want to try out for roller derby, but I'm really scared because it looks intense and all the girls there are so badass and I don't think I can hang with them. So eventually we started like practicing skating a little bit at the rinks together, and went to try out for the Charm City Roller Girls together back just last month, or at the beginning of this month, and got into the league.
Awesome.
So it's a brand new thing for me, and it's super exciting and totally scary, but a lot of fun.
So, explain a little bit about roller derby, because I've seen it on TV, like the movie Whip It, and it just seems like you got to be real tough. You know what I mean? Like that people are falling and, you know, butting each other all over the place.
Yeah.
And it just seems like really like high charged feminine.
Yeah.
Rush,
I mean,
you know
it's
what I mean?
really exciting. It's not. Okay, it's rough, but there are rules. You know, you can't just
And I saw that,
deck
by the
somebody.
way.
Yeah.
So I would think that it would be like the female version of hockey, but you're just, you know, roller skating. But when I actually went last night, I saw that, you know, there's a technique to it. It's not just like, get out of my way. Even though I did see some intentional, you know.
Oh, yeah. I mean, some people will
things
do
going
like
on.
kind of whatever they can get away with,
Yeah.
but you know,
Yeah.
hopefully that's what the refs are for. And there's a lot of them, right? But it's sort of like basketball, right? Where they always tell you to get low and like well, you don't want to really have a wide stance all the time when you're on your skates, but you know, you want to be low, you want to like use your hips and a little bit of shoulders, you know, stuff like that, to block people. And, you know, so you're not like flailing around and hitting people and stuff like that. But, I mean, it's a fun sport. Nobody really grows up playing it, or at least so far nobody has. Although right now, a lot of the women in the league have kids and, you know, daughters who are growing up watching their moms play this awesome sport. And so
cool.
you have these like young girls who they want to skate, they want to push themselves and they want to try it. And so it's pretty exciting.
So would you say, starting this new experience, that it was easier for you to, because this is not in your comfort zone? I'm
Right.
assuming.
No, I mean, I'm not like a skater naturally or anything like that, but
So was it easier for you because you had your friend Jen with you? Do you think you
Totally.
would have done it without her?
you know, I kept telling myself for a long time, for like several years, where I was like, man, roller derby looks so fun. I really want to try it. But I'm a shy person naturally. I don't reach out to new people instinctively or anything like that. So, yeah, it definitely made it easier for me to have somebody to go with to skate and stuff like that. And then we had this whole talk about like what happens if one of us makes it and the other one doesn't. And luckily we both did, so it was okay.
That is good, because, you know, might not be here.
Right?
You didn't make it. But do you think that, like, you know, going outside of your comfort zone to do this, what have you learned as far as, because I'm sure that even though you're having a good experience, sometimes you may not.
Right.
And, you know, you don't want that to deter you from trying new things. But do you think that starting this will open you up to, I mean, you said you were shy, so now you're meeting new girls. You're
Yeah.
doing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So do you think this is opening doors for you to experience even more?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's a fun physical challenge. It's fun to like, I feel like I learn a lot about myself when I'm skating and I'm watching like, what are my patterns? What moves scare me? You know, crossing my feet, moving a certain direction scares me. And but you have to try it. And so pushing yourself to try something that you are convinced you can't do is a great learning experience. And then being able to like compare notes with the other girls who are skating and say like, you know, the person next to you's been skating for 3 years and she's on a team and she can like help you out. And you're like, how do you get good at this? You know, it's cool. It gives you a way to connect to people, which, you know, it's especially when you live in a place like we do, you know, Baltimore, DC, there's so many people and you can't possibly reach out to everybody. It's really hard to meet new people. And so you have something to talk to them about. And, you know, from there you kind of move into, there are some people you're going to connect with more and become great friends. And there's some people who will be great teammates and maybe not your best friend. That's cool too.
Yeah. So what's your roller derby name? Have you picked one yet?
I'm a little bit torn on it. I guess it's going to be Dirt, which is maybe a little bit ridiculous. But my friends have called me Dirt for the past 10 plus years. It's a weird gaming thing that, I'm a huge nerd. I don't know if you knew that yet. So, my husband and I are like really into video games and stuff like that. But anyway, so my handle for gaming has always been Dirt or Miss Dirt. And so I'm just going to stick with that probably because I can't think of anything else that I like. You know, some of the girls have these amazing names, but whatever.
Give us a few. Do you know any offhand?
Some of the other girls' names?
Some roller derby names.
Yeah, so there's my big sister in the league is Canadian Bacon. She's so cute.
Last night somebody said, welcome Scary Tubman.
Scary at Tubman, yeah. And then Skarin Blokovich. Yeah, a lot of them like pick their names after like really famous. Well-known women or whatever.
I thought that was funny.
Yeah, there's some really good ones.
It's really intense.
Yeah, it is.
And just for the record, like, even though you knew the basics to skating, like, you're not like whizzing around the circle, correct? Like,
no, when
anybody.
Yeah, well, a lot of the girls who start out, when we all tried out together, some of them were like, I literally put on skates for the first time in 10 years today. So if you have no skating experience and you want to just go try it and see what it's like, you're welcome to do it. And they'll give you feedback as you go, and whether you make it or not, they send you feedback saying, like, this is what you should work on if you want to improve or whatever. So it's very geared toward teaching people and encouraging people to try and learn, So then when you first start, they don't put you on a team immediately. You spend several months learning skills, learning how to stand up, learning how to turn around and stop and, control those things, and then learning how to take a hit and fall safely and all, there's
Which
a
is
very
awesome.
Slow learning curve for a very good reason.
Yeah. As I see that, I'm like, first of all, let me tell you how far back skating has scarred my life. So I've never been a fan of skating because one time I thought I was doing something at the skating rink but I got bad bones, busted everything up.
Oh, no.
And then, so from that point on, I just never liked skating. And then when I was in the 5th grade, my dad had a skating party for me and I was really confused. Like, why would you do this to me? So I was the only person at my party not skating. And then even my grandfather was like going around circles like, hey, come on out here. None of that. So I've never skated. So when I'm horrified by rollerblading, none of that crap. So when I went last night, I was like, assuming that at the bare minimum, you could cross your feet over and skate around the whole circle. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting to hear you say, like, no, you know what I mean? Just the basic functions of skating. So it really is a new experience for you. It's not like, oh, I've been skating for years and now I want to try out this,
right.
new
And
thing.
there are people in the league who have that level of experience, and that's awesome. But the best part about it is not that they're awesome, but the really great thing is that they're willing and excited about sharing what they know.
Right.
So it's really, to me, the attraction is the community, at least as much as the sport itself.
And it seems like a lot, because on the outside looking in, it seems like a very like competitive, like knock you out. It could be a dirty sport. But seeing last night and talking to you, it seems like there's a lot of camaraderie there. It's a very like girl power sport, which is also really good, especially today's world. Like, women are just so competitive towards each other, for the wrong reasons sometimes.
Right.
And to have a sport where, like, even if you're on another team, we're still a team. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, there are different leagues around here that compete with each other, but they also support one another because everybody wants the community to grow overall. Right. And there's definitely that, like, women are not raised to compete with each other for professional advantages and stuff like that.
Right.
And so this is a really healthy way to experience competition in a way that's really not that threatening, It's just a fun challenge.
Well, that's awesome. I'm thinking about, so this is what I'm thinking about.
Okay.
I would like to bike ride, but I want to do like a trail bike ride, like maybe like 40 miles is the goal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's a new experience for me because I haven't been on a bike for years. And, but I don't want to do it like through the city, like I said. I wanted to do it like nature, a real trail. I found some in Virginia that, even in Maryland, that are really cool.
Yeah.
And this summer, like, I want to build the endurance to do it. I'm scared.
Yeah.
I don't know how to say. I was gonna curse, but it's still in, and
You're doing great. You haven't cursed since I've seen you this morning. It's just been, you're great.
So you can imagine I'm scared, whatever, right? So I'm getting all these, like, having all these excuses. This is what I do when I'm afraid, you know what I mean, to face what I want to do.
Yeah.
I create all these excuses
I don't have
around
time
it.
for it.
I got to get a bike. You know what I mean? I got to get a bike. Then I got to get a helmet. I got to get the right kind of bike. I got to get pads. I got to get this. I had to find a team of people to do it with.
Right.
And, you know, that's where I'm at now.
Right.
So now I'm trying to, like, convince myself that no, you don't need a team of I would like someone only for safety purposes. You know what I mean? Like, people go missing.
Right.
And
have a buddy, and that'll help you stay motivated too.
And I'm thinking about doing Meetup. I don't know if you've ever heard of Meetup, but I'm sure that they have, like, a cycling,
definitely,
whatever. You know what I mean? And hopefully for beginners where I could venture out, you know, and start that process. Because I'm not a very, like, nature-esque type person. You know what I mean? Very city, very urban. So I really, in my epiphany, is like, I want to enjoy the surroundings, you know, my surroundings.
Yeah.
So I want to hike to a certain degree.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I want to, like, raft or camp because I've never liked those things, but I want to kind of be in tune with those things.
Right.
So I want to start with biking and maybe work my way up. And biking is a great workout. My father used to bike all the time. I mean, everywhere.
That's awesome.
You know what I mean? So
my dad used to bike too, and that's why I don't like it.
Like, my dad used to embarrass me because he'd have, like, biker shorts on.
Yes, mine too.
Tight shirt. And then he'd, like, pop up out of nowhere and be like, hey, what's going on?
I have you beat. We rode a tandem bicycle.
Dad.
Yeah.
Dad.
Yeah. God bless him.
We take family bike rides, but I was like 13, and I'd be like, we're riding through the neighborhood, Dad. People see us.
Right. Like, I'm wearing a red, white, and blue helmet, and I'm on a bike behind my dad. No, this is not cool.
And Dad's just a smiling and a biking.
I know, right? Oh.
Yeah. So I don't want to do that to the kids. You know what I mean? But I definitely want to, you know, ride the countryside, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think you have a great idea about looking for the meetup group. And even if they're not necessarily a beginner group, if you send a note and say, like, hey, I'm a beginner and I want to get introduced to this, can somebody help me out? I feel like people who are enthusiastic about whatever they do, they're just so excited to help you learn. You know, it's kind of a awesome thing that you find about human nature is that people love to share.
Oh, yeah. Hence the podcast.
Exactly.
So I even thought about going into a cycling shop because, you know, they would love to get you up in there. So, and just, you know, talking to them and seeing, you know, what kind of advice they have. I just don't want them to try to sell me like a $500 bike.
Right.
That's the only problem with that. But like you said, or the point of the topic is just coming outside of your comfort zones. You know, you'll learn something. Even if I do it and I decide I don't like it, I tried it. And I'm going to experience something or learn something about myself, whether it's I can't do this, you know, or I can.
And you probably can.
Yeah.
Although you might not like it. You might be like, oh, well, that's overrated.
I can. You know what I mean? I can do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I might do the 40 miles and be like, you know what? Let's go all the way to Pennsylvania with this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's bike ride across the country. You just never know. But I might meet awesome people in the process. And like I said, learn about my endurance, sweat, tears, whatever. So that was the purpose of the topic, to just try something new, get outside of your comfort zone. We're so young.
Right.
And, like, we've just kind of put ourselves in this box, like, go to work, go to the movies or the bar, or, you know what I mean?
Wander around the mall, buy some stuff you don't need, feel sorry for yourself.
You know what I mean? And then be like,
go do something.
oh, you know, there's nothing to do out here.
Right.
I'm so over it. Watch TV, reality TV. We're like watching other people live their lives.
Reality TV is not even real. I mean, come on. Like, go do something. Make your own life.
I know. So, and that was the point to, you know, hey, let's just get out here and do something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just
that
have
you're
an
not
adventure,
used to
man.
doing.
Yeah. Take a risk. It's okay. People live longer now. You know, it used to be like normal and you finish college, you start your job, and you do that for the rest of your life. That's it. But like, I'm probably going to live to be like 90 or 100 or something, assuming nothing terrible happens to me. So I don't want to spend the next 60 years doing something I hate. I want to go have an adventure.
What I've noticed, on the last show I talked about this, I've been studying a lot about millennials in my class. So what I've noticed about baby boomers is, they work, and then they vacation and go see the world and all this. But for me, I don't want to be in my 60s. Not that I don't want to travel in my 60s. Hopefully hopefully I make it there, and hopefully, I'm healthy and all of that good crap. But like, you're putting restrictions on it at 60. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to Italy, I'm traveling at 60, but I don't want to bungee jump at 60.
Right.
I don't want to dive off a waterfall at 60. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to have some of those adventures now.
Yeah. And so, live a little now, you know what I mean? Be smart. Play it smart, obviously.
Yeah.
But I want to live a little now and live a little later. I don't want to just live a lot later.
Right.
So that's the whole purpose of trying new things. You don't want to start trying stuff when you're like 2 steps from the grave. You know what I'm saying? And then you're like, I had this wild time in my 70s. What?
Right.
I mean, that would be awesome.
I think if your life has been boring up until age 70, it's not going to suddenly get exciting. Like, make a habit now of doing things that are interesting.
And like, go outside of your comfort zone. Yeah. Because I even have friends, I mean, something simple as going to dinner by yourself.
Yes.
Could be way outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Or going to the movies by yourself. Like, people cannot do that. So if you just start with those baby steps, like, I don't love going to dinner by myself,
right.
But I will. And I like enjoy, like, I went to lunch by myself yesterday and I just pulled my laptop out and I had a salad and, no wine. But I wanted a glass of wine. I really wanted a glass of wine, but I didn't have it. And I just had a good time. I mean, I wasn't on my laptop working. I was reading, something great. So I was like, just chilling, enjoying my day. And I don't think some people can do that.
Yeah, I kind of knocked on my dad a little bit earlier, but when I was a kid, he would travel sometimes for work or whatever, and he would always go out to dinner by himself. And that was just normal for him because he was traveling alone, so he would go to dinner alone. And he would tell me that if he was at a conference or something, there would be a woman usually eating by herself, but always trying to look occupied, always trying to act like she was waiting. Like a woman eating alone never seemed to be comfortable. And I don't know why I took that to heart. And so as I grew up, I always have made a point of going out by myself when my husband is out of town or whatever. I'm like, I'm going to go do something by myself. And it's such a great practice to do for yourself. But also I think the people around you see that you're out there doing something and that you're comfortable and happy and enjoying yourself alone. And I think that, you set an example for people everywhere you go, like with every little thing you do.
Yeah, and there's a difference between being alone and lonely.
Right.
So if you can't be alone, that's weird,
Right.
But it's so normal for people not to like to be alone, but be comfortable with just you. Like, if you're not comfortable with just you, then probably nobody else is really comfortable around you either.
Wow, that's a great point.
You know what I mean? So we do have 2 questions for today.
Oh, yeah.
So the first question kind of relates to, let me pull it up. Sorry.
Yeah, it's cool.
So unprepared. The first question relates to what we were just talking about, new experiences. And as you experience new things, you're just going through this process. Do you feel like you will lose friends? Or you know what I mean, your old friends that aren't going through your new changes? Because as you do experience new things, you do kind of change. You know what I mean? Not for the worst,
right? But
sometimes
you
leave
your
people
life
behind.
changes.
Yeah. So do you think, like, how would you handle that, or do you think that will happen in some cases in your situation?
I mean, I try to think of it as like an evolution. I've added something to my life, and that means probably some other things are going to fall away, and that's okay. There are your friends who you like are super connected to no matter what, and you just stay in touch. Or maybe you only hear from each other like once every month or something. That doesn't mean you care any less about those people, as life changes, your circle of friends changes. That's okay, because you can't not do something out of the fear that your friends are going to be left behind, because your friends are going to grow up too.
Right.
They're going to change jobs. They're going to pick up new hobbies. They're going to have kids. They're going to, people's lives move on. So just take care of you and be good to your people. And it's okay if you don't see your same people every day. It's okay.
Oh, yeah. And I think in my mid-20s, that came full circle when a lot of, well, I'll say my younger 20s, my early 20s. Because a lot of people that I went to college with were having kids and getting married, and that's just not where I wanted to be or where I was. So it was we didn't have a lot in common after a while, because I don't want to talk about kids all day.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even now that I do have a child, I don't want to still talk about her all day. And then, people try to guilt you into oh my God, you never bring up your kid. That doesn't mean she doesn't exist and that I'm not a good mom.
No, I don't bring up my kids because it's not your business.
And there are some creeps out here that might try to take her and
Right.
abduct her. So, no. But I feel I've been through some changes, obviously, as we all have. And then, like you say, sometimes you just outgrow situations. You know what I mean? So, I do agree. If they're your real friends and you have this genuine relationship, it'll evolve with the changes in your life. Mm-hmm. Even if, it goes from seeing each other every day to it's non-existent.
Right.
Friendship that's strong will last.
Yeah, and it may sometimes be something as small as you post on Facebook, I did this today, and your friend is like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you. Great. And that might be all you get for the next month. It's okay. They're happy for you. You're happy for them. It's cool.
Yeah. So that should not discourage you into trying something.
Right. You should totally
still take advantage of that.
Yeah.
That would be weird to me again if you my friends aren't gonna mess with this.
Right. Well, I feel like in maybe junior high, my two best friends were these little boys that lived down the street, and I really wanted to start wearing makeup, and I was scared to do it because I thought that they were going to be like, you're a girl now. Yeah, you can't make your decisions based on that.
But so you would think that is so childish at our age, but it's
just how we do, We worry about people approving.
Oh my goodness. And it's if my friends don't do it, who am I going to do it with? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that's my point in being comfortable with yourself. Mm-hmm. Because your friends aren't always going to do what you want to do. And vice versa. You don't always do what your friends want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So hopefully, I know a lot of cliquey people. So, you know what I mean? So it's hopefully they won't feel you know what? She just got this new life. She went biking.
Right.
You know what I mean?
She's like a hippie now. I don't know.
I just, you know what I mean? She's got her little Volkswagen Bug. You know what I mean? Charging her car up every day. I don't know. So, okay. The next question is a relationship question. And it is, how long is too long to date someone without a real title? Got you on that one?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I'm really bad at titles. I feel like you just kind of are who you are, and you just be okay with it. But I know sometimes people just want
the title.
The title.
Doesn't
it's
the
not
title
the
make
title.
it complicated a lot of times.
It's not the title that matters. It's whether you're getting what you need out of the relationship. Are you feeling loved, respected, wanted, cared for? That's important,
So if you're getting that, okay, so let's say we just don't have a title and you're fed, you know what I mean? And then you go somewhere with this person that you love, you adore. And then somebody's like, oh, how long have you been together? And they're like, we're not together.
I mean, saying we're not together is a little dismissive and crappy, right? I feel like
this is my friend Mary.
Right.
But we've been dating in parentheses or quotation marks for 2 years. You know what I'm saying? It's my friend Mary. That's I think,
whenever God, my parents are going to, I'm not sending this to them. When my husband and I got engaged, my mom came up to help me look for wedding dresses and do like planning and stuff. And she was staying at this bed and breakfast. And my husband and I came in to meet her, and she introduced us to the bed and breakfast owner. And she said, this is my daughter Mary, and this is her friend Chris. And I was like, this is my fiance, you know, whatever. And she didn't mean anything by it. It just came out that way. But God, I don't know. I mean, I guess at a certain point you'd be like, really, could you just call me your girlfriend? But I don't know how long it is. Doesn't that make
you feel... I think, like, if I have to be like, am I your girlfriend? Like, if I have to ask at some point...
Right.
That's weird to me.
It is kind of weird.
I guess that's my new word now that I don't have any more tasteful vocabulary words. Weird is one. Awesome is two.
I mean, those are pretty good general categories to put things into.
Creepy is three. I've overused those this podcast episode.
Oh, it's okay. But no, I really don't have an answer to that. I feel like maybe after like a couple of months or something, you can be like, hey, what's our status? And if you want a title, cool, go ahead and agree on a title. But if not, just be like, what is our commitment level to each other? Like, right. Are we seeing other people? Are we considering meeting parents? Where do we stand, you know?
Yeah, because I just, if we're together for a year, I think it should just, on one half of me, it should be assumed that we have a title. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then you don't. The other half is like, you don't want to assume. Mm-hmm. Because then, you know, you're packing up to go visit his family for Christmas, and he's like, whoa, 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 where are you going? Right. And then you're confused, like, oh, I thought we were together.
Right.
Oh, we didn't establish that. I'm sorry. So I feel like you should establish it, but I feel like your relationship should be comfortable enough where you can talk about those things and not feel like you're bothering someone.
Yeah.
Where you're like pestering them for their affection or whatever.
Right.
You know.
It's, to me, it's more about just like having the conversation of like, what really is...
What are we doing?
What's going on here?
But yeah, I don't think you could put a time frame on it because
sometimes it takes you a while to figure out what your dynamic really is, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, people are going through a lot of different situations. So, you know, everything's not like so cut and dry.
Right.
So, like, if they're separated, about to divorce, you know, and getting into some other things, and they start...
what other things might they be getting into?
I thought about that, like, I don't know.
But they've got stuff going on. They've got a life,
you know what I mean?
You know?
They're trying to adjust to this new single life.
Right.
Yet they've met you, and you're so awesome.
Right.
Ding, awesome.
Yeah.
And then, you know what I mean? Like, they may not even be fully divorced. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you're sitting here like, well, what are we? We really aren't anything, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I'm married. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to give an example.
Yeah.
As terrible as it probably was.
No.
But I don't know. So you would, I mean, if I was like 20, I would probably like 3 months, like if we're not together in 90 days, like, you know, forget him or whatever. But at 30, it's a little more complicated, I would think.
Yeah.
And if we're having a good time and like, let it flow. But I don't know if kids are involved and stuff like what do you...
Right. I mean, when kids are involved, then you need to have something to say to the kid, I guess, about
but not
like...
uncle. This is Uncle Marty.
Yeah, no, none of that uncle business.
Or aunt. No, that's weird. Do people still do that?
I have no idea.
I hope not. But I just, if you have kids and then you're like around, like I said, for like 6 or 7 months or whatever, like, you know, hopefully like when you introduce her to people or him, you're like, this is my boyfriend or girlfriend. I don't think it should be that serious, but in some cases, I feel like it should be. I don't want to be saying you're my friend and we've been together for 3 years.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it does feel kind of like disrespectful to the relationship, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, to me, using a title is less about like what your relationship is, and it's more about what to tell other people.
Right.
And it's like, what business is it if anybody else, what kind of relationship you have, you know?
Right.
Yeah. My friend, one of my friends is just like, she won't introduce anybody as a boyfriend or anything like that. She'll just be like, this is Frank.
Oh, okay.
And, you know, and like if anybody wants to really be nosy enough and be like, so are you dating? You know, like, this is Frank. ta-da. You don't get to know the details.
And that's good because, like, you don't owe anybody any explanation at the end of the day, but each other. Really.
Exactly.
So, and I think that, like, society has us kind of confused about that we owe everybody this explanation because we're so willing to share. When you really, people, I noticed at my job that people are so offended when you don't, like, give them, like, every detail about whatever. Like, so if I'm leaving the office for an appointment, I'll just be like, oh, I'm leaving. I'll be back in such and such. Oh, do you have a doctor's appointment?
Yeah,
I'm looking around like, what?
When was the last time you went to the doctor? How was your blood pressure the last time you went? Like, do you want to have a conversation about that?
Right. I have an appointment. That's all that's needed. If we're going to dumb it down to notes or whatever, like, I'll bring back some documentation. You know what I'm saying? But first of all, you're my counterpart, not my boss. So the fact, I'm just letting you know in case you're looking for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's weird. Ding. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up. Mary, how can people come to watch the Derby or read your blog or, try out?
Yeah. So I am a part of the Charm City Roller Girls, which is the Baltimore League. And if you just look for Charm City Roller Girls online, it's just charmcityrollergirls.com, but you can Google it. And it has all of their schedule and everything. We had a home bout last night, so we have another one in a month. But they also play, around town. I think they're traveling today, and I'm sorry, I can't remember where they are.
Well, it won't matter because this won't air.
Okay, cool. But then also DC has a league, and they're awesome too. That's just DC Roller Girls. And so you can, if that is more convenient for you, they play at the Armory. And there's a shop in DC where you can go in and, like, kind of talk to the girls there. So if you Google for DC Roller Girls, you can find out where they are. And my blog is just missdirt.net, and I write about a lot of different things, including Derby. But, there's a lot of, like, yoga stuff and hippie stuff because that's who I am.
I read it.
Thanks.
So I like
good
it.
to know.
So you never know who's on the internet watching.
Exactly.
So.
Oh my God.
But you guys really should check out the Charm City Roller Girls. Dangerously Delicious Pies was there.
God, did you have some of that last night?
When I say I ate so bad last night, I had a little bit of everything. I had a Bohemian beer. I had a sweet Italian sausage with everything on top. And then I had to go back to Dangerously Delicious for a pie.
Yeah, I had one of the vegan chili pies. I'm like a sort of a halfway vegetarian. So I had the vegan chili pie, and it's so good. And then the Derby girls, actually, the all-star team, had baked goods for sale too, which were delicious. So if you want baked goods by Derby girls, that makes it a little bit additional badassness.
I shall.
So
next time I'm there. But I was just so immersed in everything that I was
such
like,
a fun night. I'm so glad you came.
And it was so pretty. The scenery over there where they play, they're right off the harbor.
Well, in Canton.
On the Canton side. People in DC get confused. So the Canton side.
Yeah, not the inner harbor side.
Yeah. And it was really, it's literally right off of the water.
Yeah, you can see the water, and there's a lot of great bars and restaurants really close by.
Because we did that after.
Did you guys go to the after party?
I didn't know there was one, but we just went to bars.
I didn't get to go, but anyway.
Yeah. We went to bars, and we had a good time, and then we went to, Fells Point.
Awesome.
Yeah, so check it out. Thanks for listening to the show, and we'll be back Monday after next. Thanks.